Okay, so this is part two. Basically, we're just continuing right where we left off, so don't even close anything between the two of them. Okay, so um, first, okay, so I was ending with, okay, running this. Okay, so strings, I said what they were. Okay, so their little representation is this %s. So build, run. Okay, so enter number, any number, and we'll realize that that's from this part in the code, so it's scanning for a number. So we could type 789. Let's say you entered 789. Then reading a string. So it'll ask you your name. So type in your name. It doesn't like spaces. I mean, you can make it be able to use spaces, but we're not there yet. It's a bit more of a complex function. Okay, so then hit enter, and it says, "Welcome to the world of programming, Nathaniel." And then process return 0, execution time, blah blah blah. Okay, so that's that one. So that was kind of just demonstrating the data types and those sort of, it was just demonstrating data types and how to use the input and output functions. So you should try to create your own program around these. I mean, it doesn't need to do anything spectacular, but maybe like you enter two numbers and it adds them and returns them. So a function, a thing like that I did for you guys already, it's called Pythagoras, which if you guys have taken pre-algebra or algebra, you'll recognize that this is the Pythagorean theorem. So basically, okay, it starts off, it declares three doubles, so which are big floating point numbers, and then it declares three floating point numbers, and then it asks you for side A, gets the value, asks you for side B, gets the value, and then this is kind of unfriendly looking, but let me explain it. Okay, so you'll look as it's separated into a couple of different segments. So the first thing you notice is this is a SQRT, which is the square root function. So basically, it will return the square root of whatever's in between the two starting and ending parentheses. Okay, so the next two things is the POW command. Power, basically the power function raises the first variable to the power of the second variable. So okay, so if you have a 2.0, it's like saying a squared, or if it was 1 billion, it would be a to the billionth power, which would probably cause it to crash, but oh well. Plus, same thing for b, because you know that c squared is a squared plus b squared. That's probably something I should write down in here. C squared equals a squared plus b squared. And the square root is kind of unsquaring c. So, and then it prints out that the hypotenuse is that. So if you build and run, oops, I'll enter side A, so we'll just kind of show something friendly. 3, 4, 5 triangle, 3, 4, 5, or if you run it again, you could do a 5, 12, 13, 5, 12, 13, or you could do something random like run, you could say 1, 2, and it should be like the square root. Okay, so that demonstrates that works. Okay, so one thing you might be noticing, especially in the previous thing, is these little tiny things every here and there. So what those do is they're called escape sequences, and they're defined by ANSI. Okay, hold on. They're defined by ANSI. So I wrote down a list of them. So there's a couple more, but these are the ones you really kind of want to worry that you can use. They represent special functions in strings, so like that would be a backspace, a tab, a new line, vertical tab, form feed, carriage return. So the one you noticed probably is new line, which basically moves to the next line and moves back to the left. So backslashes, if you notice, like what you would use to separate directories on Windows, you actually have to put 2 slashes, because since the first slash represents starting one of these, you have to put a second slash to actually get that in a string if you want it. Same thing with these two. These are string terminators, so you have to do a slash and then one of them to use them. And then a null character, which if you can't tell, that's actually a /0, but it represents basically a 0, and it's what terminates strings in C. Because it doesn't have this actual string type, you have to specially format the array, which we will talk about later. Alright, so let's mess around with one of these right at the moment, so let's use a backspace. So let's just come in here and make a small edit and put a /b there. Okay, so before you noticed it had 2 m's, now you will see what it's about to do. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so activate project, file, build, run, number 85, what is the name? Daniel. You'll notice now there's only 1 M. However, there was an M, a backspace, and a second M. There's only 1 M because it typed an M, right, saw the backspace and moved backwards and then typed another. So that's one of those, or you could do a vertical tab, so a V, and you could build and run. Enter number 85, foobar. And because the Windows consoles don't actually support vertical tab, they do support, I think they support horizontal, but you can do vertical tab on a Linux system but not a Windows system, otherwise it comes up with a funky character. So that's escape sequences. So if you have any questions that you believe would have been covered but you didn't exactly get, just post it in a comment and I will try my best to help you. Okay, so congratulations, you now know a little bit about C programming. Next time we'll be going over some of the standard functions included and flow control.